Now that, for example, the pictures are coming out of Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein at Balmoral Castle, we now have a better understanding of the function of Meghan Markle, right? People were trying to figure out why they were targeting her and making her a demon. And those of us who lived in LA for years, worked in LA, served the community, knew Meghan. She's shy in real life, by the way. We couldn't figure out why everybody was attacking Meghan because it's like, Meghan? Meghan never bothers anyone. She's quiet. She's very unassuming when she's shopping. She used to come to Earth Bar and get smoothies. I'm going to give you private information about Meghan Markle that it's intimate private information. Okay, if you are in West Hollywood, I think I got something on my nose. If you're in West Hollywood and you stop by Earth Bar to get a smoothie, get the Meghan Markle, which is the berry slim. That was what she would always order. The berries after yoga. Was she at Nine Bridges? Anybody know? I think she was at Nine Bridges. She would do the yoga. Or was she at there was a yoga Vipassana flow down the street also. Anyway, she used to come in on Sundays and that was her drink, the berry slim. And then grab some vitamins or whatever. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't a narcissist. She was shy, very shy. She was a shy yogi, very professional, very together. She looked like she had it together, disciplined. She gave off the energy of being, kind of like those kids that you meet that go to the conservatory to learn the violin, that have the strict parents that make them, you must study violin 4 hours a day, and then she could tell her mama raised her right. Anyway, so that would be examples of dishing the dirt out of LA. Yeah. Imagine if people knew the truth that the whole Meghan Markle thing is just fake, 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 fake. It was right around this time that all this stuff started to come out, right? This is the power of the press, right? The press can manipulate you to think all kinds of things.
Newly released Epstein files include emails from 2001 between Ghislaine Maxwell and someone signing as A from Balmoral. The sender, using an anonymous email, asks Maxwell rather if new inappropriate friends were found for him. The emails reference Balmoral summer camp for the British royal family and the sender's recent departure from the Royal Navy. This is the 8th batch of over 11,000 files totaling 30,000 pages, the largest release by the US Justice Department since Friday. The files include court records, photos, emails, flight logs, videos, and grand jury materials from Epstein's cases and investigations into his death. The files also include claims that Donald Trump flew on Epstein's jet at least 8 times between 1993 and 1996, more than previously reported. The Justice Department says some documents contain untrue claims against Trump submitted before the 2020 election.
Not friendly, but he was around.
So that if you are under attack, you have to create an enemy, right? You have to create an enemy. You have to deflect from the horrible. So if something horrible is happening in your backyard, see, Meghan Markle was never accused of child abuse or child molestation or harboring a pedophile, the largest, most notorious pedophile ring globally impacting some of the most powerful people in the world, hosting that at Balmoral, which appears to be what maybe we're looking at with these parties, hosting summer retreats and get-togethers. So you got to have a victim. You got to have another target. You've got to have a demon to deflect away from what is staring you in the face, that the royal family was hosting these parties. And that it was eventually going to blow. And it wasn't just Andy, it was Andy and Andy's friends, hosted on British taxpayers' dime, or in this case, British pound. Guys, want to talk about it? Meghan was the sacrifice. She was the sacrifice. She was the, I met her, the owner of Earth Bar. She used to come in every Sunday. Nobody who ever worked with her, ever had any dealings with her, ever did business with her, ever at any time whatsoever prior to this crazy with who'd she marry? She married Harry. It just wasn't Meghan. It's just not the person that we knew from West Hollywood. It's just that person doesn't exist. And so it was a construct. And you have to view it as it was a construct. They constructed it. You have to ask yourself, why did they construct it? Well, I think it's very obvious why they constructed it. They constructed it because just as she was marrying into this family, she was young and in love. She had no idea what the heck was going on. She had no idea that this was about to blow. What did she know? She was dating Harry, right? So you can read the rest of this article. This is BBC Canada. This is stuff you won't get in the United States. A lot of the time you have to go to affiliates, or here they are in Britain on their vacation where they were Epstein, they were invited to Balmoral for a party. Look, it's your country, Britain. You can sit around hating Meghan, the witch Meghan, and her mentally unstable sister, half-sister Samantha, who had her own children put into foster care because she's mentally unstable and has a drug problem. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. God help her. And she has medical problems as a result of the life she lived. She lived a hard life, and now she's got a lot of health problems. So, but all of that, and we all have somebody like that in America. We all have the family member that has a drug problem, or the family member that will sell their soul for $1, right? So they dug up somebody like that with Meghan, and they made her life a living hell for no reason other than the fact that they were deflecting from the fact that it would appear from the evidence coming out that the royal family was hosting these parties at their lodges and private estates. So people have wanted to talk to me about Israel's involvement. They know I'm an Israeli, and I'm an old-time Israeli. I'm a leftist before Netanyahu destroyed our country. But we were all about integration, peace, love, rock and roll, share the land, all that good stuff. But those days are gone, right, with the crazy Netanyahu regime. But do I think that the Israelis had dirt? Yes, because the Israelis are hired to supply security to over 100 separate nations. Y'all know that? So they are the best at cybersecurity in the world. They supply cybersecurity to the Vatican. They share, and they are also a NATO partner, so they share security intelligence with MI6, with the British, with the United States, etc. So Epstein had claimed he was a Saudi resident. He was a Saudi citizen. That's what he claimed on his fake Austrian passport. That tells us that a lot of different countries were involved. A lot of different countries were involved, but the fact that we're focusing on Israel specifically, I think that in and of itself is anti-Semitic, because the number one guilty party is the United States, right? It's happened, started here in the United States, and then it went on to our NATO partners, Britain, and then beyond that into. But I don't think it was started by the Israelis. I think the Israelis were collecting data just like everybody else, and they were happily collecting data just like everybody else. Great to see you here. So I just wanted to mention that that was the thing that came up in the remotes. Now, there was a suicide also that happened. And the thing that's going on with the investigation into Epstein isn't just the fact that Balmoral Castle was hosting some of these parties. But the other thing you're going to start hearing about is Epstein's money laundering and how money was involved with Russian mob and the link between the British aristocracy and the Russian aristocracy. And you have this old money history, right, of the Russian aristocracy and the British aristocracy through Queen Victoria, right? So the Russians under Tsar Putin wanted to foster that. Now, what was going on in Britain during the time of Victoria? Well, it was the time of socialism and a lot of social reform. So the socialists were taking hold in Great Britain, and Great Britain was responding with divide and conquer. They were trying to take over India, they were trying to take over anywhere and everywhere, right? And China, Asia, the Opium Wars, right? And you had this reaction, which was the socialism coming in. But the socialists weren't only trying to tear down the aristocracy in Britain, they were also attempting to tear down the aristocracy in Russia, right? So there was this relationship that starts to happen between this solidarity of Russia and Britain to try and counter this attack by the socialist. And so what you have is this long relationship that Putin hoped that as an anti-socialist, Putin, who's an Ayn Rand toting, bring back the church, the Holy Church of Russia. He loves this, right? And so he loves the bootlegging, he loves the pirating, he loves the cryptocurrency, and basically making crime legal because they were able to engage in all kinds of money laundering, but they were also able to bribe people. And there was some kind of a fight that breaks out. And this is the point at which he was married to Lady Gabriella Windsor, and takes his life. He also, I believe, got off his Paxil or whatever medication he was on, and they think that may have also been an adverse effect. But when you remote view it, I'm seeing questionable financial activities. And those financial activities got traced back to blackmail schemes, the Russian mob, and this old relationship between Russia and the British aristocracy. And in fact, when you Google Thomas Kingston, that's what you find. You find that he was involved in money schemes and investing, some of which involved money for overseas activities, which could have involved Russian laundering, etc. Guys, want to talk about it? How disgusted are you? Why do people worship the royals? A bunch of spoiled brats that think that they're entitled to anything and everything at the expense of everybody else. So let's talk a little bit about Sasha. Sasha Riley Barrows. Sasha Riley Barrows, who claimed that he was being trafficked by hillbillies out of Oklahoma. It involves several states: Texas, Tennessee, Oklahoma, right? According to Sasha Riley, there comes a point when he's older. This is the third tape that just got dumped 2 days ago because people were trying to figure it out. How could this kid out of Oklahoma wind up with a guy who's involved in trafficking elite models? Like that's he's going to the hillbillies. According to Sasha, he gets sold. That the hillbillies make money by selling him, and they got to get rid of him. The other thing is the hillbillies have to get rid of him, and they have to get him out of that area because Child Protective Services is involved. He's already gotten involved with Child Protective Services in the past, right? They've already got a case on him. So what do? According to Sasha, in his latest post, they sell him to a bunch of rich people. They sell him to a bunch of rich people. They sell him to a bunch of rich people, and at that point, those rich people start sending him to a different type of party, which is a richer party. So this is happening sometime around 1983, and that's the point at which he gets introduced to Donald Trump. It's right around 1983, and that's the point at which he gets sold to a different clientele, right around 1983. Right around 1983 is the point at which Sasha claimed that he was a trafficked child out of Oklahoma. And then some rich people came to town and bought up parts of the operation. They bought some of the kids and brought them to a different part of the country for a different type of party, a different type of clientele. It's interesting that you have this picture of Epstein and as he remembers himself in 1983, scrappy, torn jeans, giving balloons to children. He's starting some kind of an operation in 1983. And the consequences of this scheme result in extreme wealth by 2003. What a great country. The scheme, according to Sasha Barros, was to take these hillbillies that were making snuff tapes and sex tapes and elevate it, right? Bring it to another level, which was that they were going to start filming things and blackmailing participants. And then taking half. I'll take half. I'll take half of Wexler's money. I'll take half of Trump's money. I'll take half of this person's money. It's a great country. There are so many horrible, awful people for me to blackmail. That I've got on my own island and my own private jet. So when you put the pieces together, you start to realize that we're in a very different world than we thought we were in. Yeah. Okay, so that is the meditation that I had. I just wanted to share that is the big explosion. So we have blinders on. They just want to keep filling our heads with a bunch of crazy stuff about Meghan Markle and not have you see what is in front of you. Don't see what is in front of you. You ever heard of myopia or farsightedness? Something that happens. There's myopia and there's presbyopia when things are too far away. You have to pull back. Things are, what is it? Farsightedness, right? You got to pull back. You got to pull back from the situation because you're so close, because it's so obvious. That you think that can't be, your brain clicks off. That can't be right. We gotta find some old prejudice. Well, we'll blame a black lady. Hey, Meghan, she's new. She's the weakest link in the chain. Let's go after her. And she's black. We'll just feed on British racism, which is almost as bad as American racism. We invented eugenics in order to keep ourselves in power when the socialists started a revolution in Britain. We invented the science of racism to support and hold up the British aristocracy. Us and our rich friends having parties. And look at the smile on Gillet. She is the cat that has caught the canary. She knows that by filming at this location, she knows that they've been blackmailing. They've got ties to every mafia, to every intelligence agency. They've got reams of data on so many people, and they know that the intelligence agency is letting them do it because they got a lot. Andrew is bringing a lot of dirt. He's bringing a lot of his friends, and they're collecting a lot of information, and they're collecting a lot of money. No such thing as a free lunch. No such thing as a free child victim, right? SA victim.